Hello and welcome back to your 16th Django tutorial. In today's tutorial, we're going to go ahead and create a list view for our tutorial series. What we're going to do here is I'm going to walk you through creating a class-based view for our list of tutorial series first. Then we'll set up the template, and then we'll come back and actually redo our view as a function-based view because there's going to be more information we want to include, and like I said, I don't like double tapping the database, so I'm going to show you some more query sets. So let's get started. Go open up your text editor, and right above your tutorial series detail, let's go ahead and create a class. And this is going to be a really simple class. It's class, and we're going to call it tutorial series list view. Alright. And since we're doing a list view, we got to come up here. Let's just take out detail view because we're not using that, and put in list view. Just like that. And list view as the argument in the class. Yeah. Okay. And very simple. We just declare the model. So models equal to tutorial series. Ooh, not how you spell tutorials. Tutorial series. There you go. So that's our view as of right now. That's pretty simple, right? So now we need to go into our URLs and create the URL for this. We can keep that there for now. Well, let's go ahead and write a new URL. So URL, and then we're going to do R, and a string, and a caret, and then series, / $, comma, and then we're going to do views dot tutorial series list view dot as underscore view function, and comma, and then we're just going to name this tutorial series list underscore view, and don't forget your comma at the end. So there we go. Alright, so there's our view, a URL for our view. So now we need to create a template. So over in your template folder, in the tutorials directory, go ahead and create a file. We're going to call it alright, so we got to call it tutorial series underscore list because we're creating a list view with the class. So tutorial series underscore list dot HTML. Alright, and instead of you guys watching me type all this out, what we're going to do is we're going to use the featurette from Bootstrap. So I'm just going to set this up, and then we're going to go copy and paste it. So extends-base.html, because I know it's exciting watching me type HTML code out, but you guys aren't really learning anything there. So anyhow, we'll just do block content, and then end block. So go to get Bootstrap in your text or your browser. We're going to get Bootstrap. Get Bootstrap. And then in examples, it'll be in our examples. Once this decides to load, what in the world? Alright, so getting started. Sorry, I paused the video because that was just taking way too long. Anyhow, let's go down to examples, and then carousel, and then here's the featurette. So basically I want to display our tutorials kind of like this, alright? They go back and forth. And the reason I'm doing this is to actually show you some templating in Django. But I do also think it looks pretty cool. So let's go ahead and right click and get a page source so we can grab the HTML down to featurette. So we're going to grab from featurette row all the way down to the end of the second featurette. Alright, so 2 of them you should have. We're going to go ahead and copy that, go back to your text editor, and just go ahead and paste that in there. Alright, so here's what we have. Looks pretty cool, right? Alright. Let's just do this over so it's somewhat in line. Alright, so where do we begin? Alright, so first off we need a for loop, right? If you notice, these two, let's go ahead and open this up in our browser so we can take a look at it. So at series, so tutorial / series is your domain name for this, or your URL, I should say. Alright, so you notice we got left hand side, right hand side. I don't like how it's pushing all the way up against the side, so we need to go in here and add a div container. So div class is equal to container. And we'll just take this div right here, cut it, and go all the way down to the bottom and paste it. Alright, so now we need to add in our dynamic content. So how do we do that? Well, you know we need a for loop, because what we're looping over is a query set of tutorial series, a numerous number of objects here. So we need to do a for loop. So we'll go ahead and set that up. So we're going to do for let's just say item in, and since we're doing a class base list view, it's going to be object or list list or list object. I'm drawing a blank right now. We'll try object list first, and if that does not work, then it's the other way around. So n4. And let's just go ahead and throw a title in here. Not a title, a name, because we call it name on this. So in here we'll do item.name. We're going to save that. Let's go back in here and refresh. Alright, so I did get it right. So it is object list, alright, as our context. Alright, now, you may be wondering, how are we going to display the name here and then display the name here? Because if I do this down here and I go put another variable in here, item.name, alright, if you haven't noticed yet, these two are different styles. One's on the left, one's on the right. If we go ahead and do it this way, well, Django's not smart enough to go ahead and loop through them. So we're just going to get double names of our tutorial series. So how do we fix that? So there's a way with cycle to do it, but I before we started running this tutorial, I was trying to remember exactly how to do it with cycle, and I could not remember correctly. So what we're going to do is use an if statement. So in here we're going to do if for loop, alright, and then we're going to say counter, so this counts how many times we loop through. Then we're going to use a pipe symbol, and we're going to say divisible by 2. So is it divisible by 2? If so, then run the following code, alright, and that would be this one up here. And then we're going to say if it's not divisible, let's go ahead and take this out because I don't think that should be there. We'll throw one at the bottom actually. Anyhow, Then we're going to say else, like this, if it's not divisible. So if it's an odd number, then we're going to end our if down here. End if. There you go. And boom, it should, in theory. Oh, we got syntax error. Divisible by. I probably spelled divisible wrong. I did. Makes me wonder how I make it through life not being able to type. There we go. There we go. So now, if you notice, we got machine learning, and then it rotates over here. We got Django, and it rotates over here. We got Flask, and we got introduction to Python. So these are working properly now. All right. Now the next thing I want to do is what I want to do is, you see this grayed out content here. I kind of want to post how many lessons we have for each tutorial. So we got introduction to Python, we got Flask, we got Django. How many tutorials are in each of these lessons is our goal. Now if we go back to our view, because we need a way to get that, if we go back into our views, this is not going to provide it. Now we could do it with a class, but it's going to take a lot of code and time to write that. So like I said before, and also with a class, you would have to double tap the database, which I hate doing. So we're just going to write a function, and we're going to get pretty creative with our function here. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at our function. So let's go ahead and define a function, and we're going to call it tutorial underscore series underscore list, and it's going to take one argument of request. Alright, so we know we need tutorial series. We need the objects in tutorial series. Alright, so we need them. But if you remember correctly, in our models, we have tutorial series here, but we don't have any field that says, hey, lessons, that we could actually count. We don't have a foreign key going back here to lessons, so what we do have is a foreign key down here. So we're going to use a reverse relation to actually go and get how many tutorials there are, or how many lessons, I should say, there are in our tutorial series. Alright, so let's start out by first getting all the objects in our tutorial series. So let's go ahead and do tutorials, and then set that equal to tutorial series dot objects dot all. Alright, and then let's just finish out our function here so we don't have to worry about it anymore. So we'll do template is equal to, and it's tutorials / tutorial series underscore list dot html, and then down here we're going to do context is equal to a dictionary that contains tutorials, first one being a string, colon, and then tutorials, boom, comma, and then we'll do return render request template context, boom, like that. Alright, now we just got to go back and change our view here. We'll take off as view, take that off, and take it all the way back to views dot, and we'll name it tutorial underscore series list right here, and take off the parentheses if you just did what I did. And let's go back and just make sure our view is still working properly. It's my server being slow. Uh-oh, we're missing our content. Well, what happened was we renamed our context, correct? It's no longer objects list, so now it's tutorials. So let's just change this right here to tutorials, and then we'll go back and refresh. Now it should all be the same. Machine learning, Django, Flask, introduction to Python. Alright, nothing changed there. So now we need to display how many lessons there are. So let's go ahead and do that. In our views. Alright, now for us to do a reverse relation, we first need to create a related name for our models.py. Now I talked about this in a previous tutorial saying, hey, I really don't want to do this. But we need to do it here. So let's go ahead and do related name, and we're going to call it tutorials, like that. Alright. And then we'll come back into our views, and you'll see why we did that. Now we need to get the reverse relation. And one way to do that in Django is using the prefetch underscore related function for a query set. So we'll do prefetched underscore related, and then in here we're going to say tutorials. So what this is going to do is go find the related name, and if it finds this related name in our models, it's going to go and grab that content as well as grabbing all our objects in our tutorial series. So it's grabbing that. Alright. Now we're going to come down here, and we need to set up a way to count the objects contained in our lessons model. So we're just going to do tutorials again. Alright, equal to tutorials, and then we're going to say annotate. So what annotate does is it calculates some given parameter, which we're going to give in a second, of each object. So if we said, in here we said lesson, and this is just a variable keyword that we're going to use to display this in our templates, and then we said count. So we're going to count how many lessons there are per the tutorials. Alright, if you notice count is lit up red here, we need to import that. So from Django.db.models import count, like this. So down here what it's going to do is it's going to go and count how many lessons are per this each tutorial up here, and that's what annotate does. It boxes them together. So our lesson is going to be our variable that we're going to use in our template. So let's go and open up our template, wherever I put it. There it is. And over here where it says it will blow your mind, let's go ahead and do a template variable, and that's two curly braces, and we'll do item.lesson like this. And we'll do the same thing down here where it says see yourself, and we'll do item.lesson like that. Alright. So back to your browser, go ahead and update it, and we got an error. Of course we got an error. What did I do wrong? It's not prefetched ed, it's prefetch related. So that's wrong. Sorry, another typo. Now what? Still working. Oh, there's what we're looking for. It displays a number. Good. So back in our tutorials underscore list, let's go ahead and put lessons, or we can put tutorials or lessons, whatever you'd like. Tutorials like that. And then in the p tag below, we're going to put our description of our tutorial series. So we'll just do curly brackets to them, item dot description, like that. And you know what, let's do a pipe character, and let's go truncate characters at, we'll say 250 to start. I'm going to go ahead and just copy this because we're going to need this down here. There we go. Go ahead and save that. And let's go back and refresh and make sure everything looks good. Nothing changed. Oh my goodness. Well, nothing did change. It's just we don't have enough content in here. As you can see, introduction to Python is the only one that actually has content. If I go in the back end, I want to go ahead and create another lesson for one of these, just to make sure that's working properly, because it is a complicated query set. So lessons, let's go ahead and create a new lesson. And we'll just throw it on machine learning. And I'll just say, I don't know, something. No video, no length, content, something. And we'll save it. And I'm just checking to make sure our query set's actually working properly and not grabbing something else. Yeah, there we go. So we created a new object, and it went up to 2 tutorials. Alright, so just quick review real quick. First off, we wrote one in a list view in class, which I showed you could literally just be a class decoration, and then we declare the model. And that's pretty cool, right? Because we're not really writing much code. But when you start getting complicated queries, especially like this, then we run into issues. We could actually, while I'm sitting here talking, let's go ahead and try something here. Let's throw that on the end there, because I believe this will work, and we even got a shorter amount of code, since I like being. Let's go ahead and refresh and see if this works. Yeah, it worked. There you go. We even used less lines of code here. Now, it's preferred that you do not have this run completely off, but it doesn't bother me too much. If it's bothering you guys, you can just hit enter somewhere in here and lower it down to the next line. If you guys have any questions, and what I mean by enter, do something like this, and something like this, to make it more readable so it doesn't go off the other end. Refresh and make sure it worked. Of course, my server is going to be slow. There we go. And nothing changed. Alright. So in the next tutorial, we're going to most likely throw images in here. We also need to find a place to put our, what do we call them? Experience level, I guess it is, where it's either, you know, beginner, intermediate. We want to display that as well. Also, we need to create links to go to these tutorial series themselves. So in the next tutorial, we'll do all that. And then hopefully we're off this tutorial kick, and we can go on to another app where we do something more important than designing. So I'll see you guys then.